you. Thank the witnesses. Look, I think the American people are asking, when does this stop? I mean, I've been saying for months, if big Federal government spending were going to get us out of this mess, well, for goodness sakes, we'd have been out of it a long time ago, because that's all the government's done for 2+ years. And frankly, it did start even under the previous Republican administration. And as Mr. Foster pointed out, it's been taken to new levels with this administration. So I think instinctively, the American people understand the stimulus didn't work. Transfer payments, propping up states, bailing out. They know it didn't work. But I also think they're beginning to realize that not only didn't it didn't work, it caused harm, as evidenced by the record deficits, record debt that we have in front of us. And frankly, I think as Dr. Foster pointed out, and maybe our others as well, I still remember the first principle they teach you in economics class, this crowding out concept, or opportunity cost. When you take resources and devote them to one thing, by definition, they can't be used somewhere else, frankly, the more efficient private sector where they can't be used. So I think the American people get it. My question goes right to where Dr. Foster left off, so we'll start here and work backwards, is this budget, as I begin to look at it and delve into it, that the President unveiled on Monday, I think continues the same pattern. It's the same old, same old. It's big government spending. It's now a record deficit on top of a record deficit on top of a record deficit. So give me your thoughts on this budget and frankly, the tax increases and the spending contained in it, how harmful that's going to be as we, again, try to get below 10% unemployment, get back to a more normal economy, and then, frankly, a growing economy. We'll start, Mr. Foster, and work backwards.
I think this budget, if it were enacted, would be extremely harmful to our economy for a number of reasons. One, it's an enormous increase in the national debt, with the deficit projected at $1.6 trillion, finally breaching clearly the 10% of our economy level. This is creating more and more uncertainty as to—
Let me interrupt. And I think this pretty common consensus. You got to be at 3% of GDP or below. I would argue below that, frankly, to have any type of sustainable deficit that you're carrying. Would you agree?
Depending on the rate of interest, a normal long-term rate of interest, something in the order of 2.5 to 3% is sustainable.
Okay.
We are well beyond that.
Exactly.
And oddly, we are in a situation where we are far more irresponsible, frankly, than all of our European friends, who recognize the situation they're in. The stimulus that they employed didn't work either, and they are now embarking on a strenuous program, a painful program, of getting their spending under control and their deficits under control, because they realize that that is the key to short-term and long-term prosperity. Short-term because these deficits are creating uncertainties. Uncertainty is the enemy of prosperity.
Well said. Well said. Dr. Roberts.
The reason that uncertainty is the enemy of prosperity is because we need investment. We need risk-taking. Sorry. The reason that uncertainty is the enemy of prosperity is we need investments, and investments require risk-taking. And if the future is uncertain and people are nervous about the future and have anxiety about it, they're less likely to take risks. We've done a bunch of things in the last 3 years, 4 years, to reduce the incentives for risk-taking. And worse, the risk-taking we have encouraged has been imprudent. We need prudent risk-taking. So we have the uncertainty about the deficit, the fact that future tax increases are coming, but we don't know how that's going to be, the nature of that burden, how it's going to be financed. We have uncertainty about the stability of the system itself. We're financing our deficit right now with very short-term interest borrowing, which is great when interest rates are low, but when interest rates rise, it could be very, very expensive, and I'm very concerned about that. There's regulatory uncertainty. We've passed massive regulation of the healthcare and financial sectors, two large parts of our economy. It would be one thing if we passed the legislation that was in place, but of course the rules aren't written yet, so how do people know to go forward? And finally, we've done a bunch of bailouts that said if you were bad at what you do, we're going to give you money anyway.
Yeah.
And so risk-taking, prudent risk-taking, has been discouraged.
You made me think of one thing here, too, and we'll finish with Dr. Taylor, if he can address this question, too. And this is one area where we may have some agreement with the President with corporate tax rates. I mean, actually, and to the point where I think it's frankly unpatriotic not to be for lowering the corporate tax rate when you think about where we compare with our competitors around the globe. So I'd like your thoughts on that, too, as you evaluate the budget, Dr. Taylor, in the last 30 seconds here.
Yeah, sure. I think the most sensible thing is to reverse this spending binge of the last 2, 3 years, and I think that would be so beneficial to the economy, to show the courage of our government to be able to do that. If we start reducing the debt, I think that on the taxes, I agree that corporate taxes makes us uncompetitive. I would say the firmest thing to say to convince the American people is we're not going to increase anybody's tax rate for the foreseeable future. That would provide certainty, remove a lot of the doubts and concerns people have about investment. And the only way you're going to get unemployment down is to encourage private investment. That's what the data show. That's what history shows.
Well said. Thank you.